name's Colleen and I'm an educator at the St. Louis Art Museum. Welcome to Wee Wednesday. Today we're going to be talking about creatures that fly. We'll start by reading a story together, then we'll be looking at some art from the museum's collection, and we'll end by making our own art together. Feel free to pause the video at any time if you'd like to get a closer look, if you'd like to talk about something with the people that you're with, or if you need to gather some art supplies. Are you ready? Let's get started. Today, we're going to be reading a story called Have You Ever Seen a Ziz? If you've joined me for Wee Wednesday before, you may know that when I read a new book, I like to take a look at the cover to see if I can find out some things about the story before I read. Let's take a look at this cover together. What do you notice? I see a few different clues on this cover. I see a very large creature that looks like they might be able to fly, since it looks like they're up in the sky among the clouds. And I see some houses below, which makes me think that they might be very high up in the sky. What do you think the story might be about based on what we can see? Let's find out. Have You Ever Seen a Ziz? Written by Linda Elovitz Marshall, illustrated by Kyle Reed. Have you ever seen a ziz? Do you wonder what one is? Is it this? Is it that? Is it bigger than a hat? Is it like a giant cat? Or a prehistoric bat? No, a ziz is not like those. It's a bird that puts on shows as she dips from high to low with her feathers all aglow. What have we found out so far about what a ziz is? Sometimes when I'm reading a story, I like to predict what's going to happen on the next page. What else do you think we might find out about a ziz based on what we've already read? Let's see. Her wings span from there to here. Her wings stretch from here to there. Ziz's wings spread everywhere. Let's see if we can spread our wings, our arms, really wide. Can you do some flying on your own with your wings? Where do you think you're gonna go? When the ziz is flying by, giant wings block out the sky. So because she hides the light, the ziz mostly flies by night. She's a kindly, gentle bird, big and yellow, sweet, absurd. She stops winds and driving rains to help farmers grow their grains. What would you like the ziz to help you do? When she stands upon the land, with her heels dug into sand, her head rests upon a cloud, and she zings out loud, loud, loud. What do you think the ziz's sound might sound like? Do you think maybe you could make your own ziz sound with the people that you're with? Try it out. She zings melodies and rhymes of both happy and sad times. Ziz zings when she's at home, ziz zings when she's alone. Ziz zings when she's at play, Ziz zings at end of day. When do you like to do your zinging? That's the Ziz's way of singing. Ziz zings inside her nest, where she goes to take a rest, and gaze upon creation from her very lofty station. When she takes a little schluffy, her feathers, they get puffy, 'cause she snores and snores and snores, sounding like 6 dinosaurs. So schluffy is a Yiddish word, and Yiddish is a language that's spoken by some people who are Jewish. No snore differs, all same. Zzz, 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 zzz. Is that how Ziz got her name? Can you make the Ziz's snoring sound with me? Are you ready? Let's try it out. Zzz. That was fun. Should you ever see a Ziz, you will know just what one is. She's a kindly giant bird. Yes, a bird a bit absurd. If you cannot see the sky, could a Ziz be flying by? The end. Now there's a note from the author here that I want to read just a couple lines to you about. So it says that the Ziz is a mythological bird found in a collection of ancient Jewish writings. And this other note here says that according to legend, if a Ziz egg were to fall out of the nest and break, it could cause a flood so damaging that hundreds of trees would fall and entire towns would be destroyed. I invite you to think about your favorite part of the story and talk about that with the people that you're with. We're going to travel to the museum now to look at some works of art. Let's imagine how we might get there. Since we're talking about creatures that fly today, let's take our journey through the air. Are you going to fly like a dragon with your wings spread out really wide? Or are you going to soar in the air like an eagle? Or are you going to flit about like a butterfly? You decide. Once you've decided, if you'd like, you can close your eyes and imagine yourself going. Ooh, that was a really exciting journey today up in the air. I'm really glad that we made it. In order to get ready to look at our works of art, we're going to be doing an experience I'm calling our Mindfulness Minute. Mindfulness is taking the time to slow down and really pay attention to what you're doing. Since we're talking about creatures that fly today, we're going to take a guided journey from their point of view. To begin, we're going to get into a comfortable position. And if it feels comfortable to you, you can close your eyes. And we're going to take a big deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouths. Now, imagine that you are a creature that flies. What do you look like? What do you think you might sound like? Now that you have that image in your mind, we're going to begin our journey by flapping our wings and taking off into the sky. Flap, 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 and off we go. Let's listen. What can we hear? Now let's take a look around as we're flying through the air. What do you see? Maybe you see the tops of trees. Maybe you see the roofs of all the buildings. Maybe you see your family and friends. They look really tiny down on the ground. They're waving up at you. Now, let's think about making our journey back down to the ground. So we might need to flap our wings again as we slowly make our way towards the ground. And before we land, we're going to pass through a forest. Let's listen to what we can hear. Now softly land on the ground and open your eyes. How did it feel to be a creature that flies? I feel much more ready to look at some really amazing works of art. We're going to look at some works of art from the museum's collection together. If you'd like, you can scroll down on the page to get a closer look at the images we'll be viewing. Feel free to pause the video at any time to do this. Take a close look at this work of art. What do you see? Let's look closely at all the sides of this sculpture. What do you notice now that we have a different view? This is an ancient Egyptian sculpture of Horus as a falcon. It's over 2,000 years old. In the ancient Egyptian religion, Horus is the god of the sky with the head of a falcon, which is a type of bird. There are many myths about Horus. A myth is a traditional story often used to explain how the world was created and why things happen. I'm going to tell you a story now that might be a little scary for some people, so feel free to skip it. One myth begins with two brothers, Osiris and Set. Osiris was the older brother, which meant he got to be king. He was a good king, and everyone liked and respected him. This made Set angry and jealous. He wanted to be king, so he turned himself into a monster and attacked Osiris, killing him and cutting him into 13 pieces and scattering the pieces all over Egypt. Set was now the king of Egypt. Osiris's wife, Isis, was very sad that he was gone. She traveled far and wide to find all 13 pieces. She put Osiris back together by wrapping him up, making him the first mummy. She breathed life back into Osiris, and he was brought back to life. They had a child and named him Horus, and Osiris went to rule the underworld. But the story doesn't end there. When Horus grew up, he thought he should be the rightful king of Egypt, so he challenged Set to a contest. The two engaged in many contests, some cheating and some traps were set, but in the end, Horus became the true king of Egypt. What elements of the story do you see in this work of art? Let's see how another artist created a work of art inspired by a mythical bird. Look carefully at this work of art. What do you notice? Let's zoom in to get a closer look. What new details can you see now? This is an ancient Chinese sculpture called Phoenix standing on a tortoise. It was made around the same time as the last work of art we looked at together, over 2,000 years ago. This sculpture shows a phoenix. In Chinese mythology, a phoenix is a mythical bird that is immortal, meaning it can never die. Both the phoenix and the tortoise, which you can see at the bottom of the sculpture, were symbols of long life and good fortune in Chinese culture during the time in which it was made. Do you have symbols of long life and good fortune in your community? What are they? These creatures were also used to show directions, with the phoenix representing the south and the tortoise the north. Both of these ancient sculptures tell stories about mythical birds and what they represent. How will you create your own creature of flight? What will your creature represent? If you'd like, you can talk about your plans for your own imaginary creature with the people that you're with. Now that we looked at some art together, let's travel back home so we can make our own art. So fly like a dragon, or soar like an eagle, or flutter like a butterfly, and let's head home. For our art making project today, we are going to be making our own paper sculptures of creatures that fly. So we've seen examples of different kinds of birds from all over the world today, and we're going to make paper sculptures of our own imaginary creatures, adding in any elements that you wish, and we can even think about making them fly at the end. So we're going to need a few different materials for our project today. We're going to need paper. Doesn't matter what color, what size, or what material it's out of. So I have some paper from a brown paper bag. I have some colored paper. We're going to need either tape or glue, scissors, something to draw with if you'd like. I'm going to use crayons today, but you could use markers or colored pencils or pens, whatever you have. And then if you have it, some string, although you don't need this, but if you have some lying around, we'll be using that today as well. So to start, we're going to make the body of our flying creature. So I'm going to show you one way of how to make a paper sculpture kind of into a flying creature, but there are lots of different ways to do it. So you can make your paper creature any way that you want. This is just one option. So I have a piece of brown paper here for my paper bird, and I'm actually going to fold it in half. And if you want, you can kind of draw the outline of the body of your bird and then cut it out, or you can kind of just cut as you go. So I'll draw mine so you can kind of see what that is like. So I'm just going to kind of draw the head and then the neck and then the body. And I drew on see there's the fold in my paper. So I drew kind of on the top of that fold, because what we're going to do is cut it out, and then we'll have kind of a two-sided bird that kind of stands up. So I'm going to cut along my line here. And now I have kind of a body of a flying creature that is a little more three-dimensional, or means that it kind of pops out instead of it just lying flat. So there's the body of my creature. Now I'm going to add some wings. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually need to make a little slit in our bird here so that we can slide our wings through. So a really easy way to do that is just to fold your bird kind of in half here. And then we're just going to make a little cut. And now when I open it, I have this nice slit that I can slip something through. So now I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to move on to my wings. So I have some purple paper here, so I think I'm going to make some purple wings today. And you can make your wings however big that you want. I'm going to cut that paper in half so it's not as big, but I'm going to use this size paper today. And what we're going to do is we're going to make some accordion folds to kind of make our wings pop out, but I'm actually going to draw on my paper first. So this is something you can do if you want to add a little more design or, you know, kind of magical element to your bird. We've kind of seen some different mythical birds from all over the place today. So you can think about making your board maybe like a bird that you've seen in real life, or a creature that flies that you've seen in real life, or it could be something that you've created out of your imagination. So I just wanted to add some kind of squiggly lines to here and see what that would look like. So now I've got my design on my paper, and now I'm actually going to fold it back and forth. So you might have done an accordion fold before, as you fold one way, flip it over, and then you fold it back. And then you just keep doing that over and over again. So now I have my accordion fold here. And what I'm actually going to do is slip it through that slit that we made. And now I have some nice wings, so you can kind of fold it if you want the wings to kind of go up, or you can do this any way that you want. And now I kind of have some nice wings to my bird here. And you can see in the back I kind of have my designs for that part. So now I think my bird might need a tail. So I'm going to use the same technique, that same kind of accordion fold technique, but with a different color. And I'm just going to make a little one for the tail. Now for this one, I'm just gonna pinch it kind of on the end so I get this nice little fan here. And I'm gonna slip it kind of in that fold that we made for the body of our creature. And I'm just gonna use some tape. And I'm gonna attach it that way. So now I have a nice little kind of bird feather tail there. Now another way that you can make a tail, or another fun way to kind of manipulate paper, is if you have just a strip of paper, you can actually roll it and create kind of some curly paper. So I'm just kind of rolling it, not folding, but rolling. And so now it's kind of rolled into this tiny little oval here. And if I unroll it, now I kind of get this nice little curly cue, and I could also kind of add that as another element of my tail. So, ooh, actually maybe I'll attach this kind of to the end here. So I'm just gonna attach that with some more tape. And remember, the best materials to use for this project are the ones that you already have. So don't worry about what you have. As long as you have some kind of paper, you can make your own flying creature sculpture. All right, so I have my wings, I have my tail, I have the body of my creature. I think I might need a beak. So I have some yellow paper here, so I might cut some yellow paper for my beak. And I think he might have a long pointy beak here. So I'm just gonna fold it. And when you're doing paper sculpture, really it's best to just experiment and kind of play around and see how you can change the paper to make it do what you want it to do and to make it pop out. So see, I just folded that shape and now it's already a little more 3D or three-dimensional than it was. So I'm just gonna slip that inside that fold of the head of my bird here. And I might use a little glue to do that. Got my glue stick. And I'm just gonna glue the top of that and then slip it inside that fold there. Give it a little pinch. And now I have my nice little beak there. Now, if you want to help your bird or your flying creature, whatever it may be, fly, you can add some string to this. So I just had some of this brown string lying around. So I'm just going to cut a piece off. And what we can do is we can actually use that slit that we added our wings to, and we can just weave a piece of string through the top here. And then I'm just going to tie a knot. And now I can hang my bird and it can do some flying wherever you may want to attach it. So those are going to be our paper creatures that can fly. Thank you for joining me today here at We Wednesday. We hope you had fun. I wanted to show you another example of a flying creature that I made. So this is the one that we made together. This is my one that I made out of a grocery bag and some other paper, and I hung it on a string. I also made some other flying creatures, kind of in the same way. This one's made out of recycled paper from some junk mail or some treasure mail. This one's made from some other kind of paper too, and I strung these up on string and put them on a paper tube that I had lying around, so you could actually do that with a bunch of them. So here's the one that we made together. So we can have a whole collection of flying creatures, and those could be put somewhere. So we would love to see your flying creatures that you make. You can post them on social media and use the hashtags STLArtMuseum and We Wednesday. We hope to see you next time. Keep on creating. Bye.